Hey and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about why I believe the battery industry is one of the best industries to start and build your career. Why do I think this is important to talk about? Well, when I was a student at university, one of my biggest worries about working as an engineer was that I would just be making more things that the world doesn't need and that I would not find my work meaningful despite being really passionate about engineering. Battery production was not on my radar at all, and I'm really happy that I landed in this industry. Maybe you're in a similar situation where you're trying to decide which field to go into, or you're unhappy in your current field and trying to find something more fulfilling. No matter if you're also an engineer or you have a completely different profession, I hope this video shows you a new career option that you may not have been aware of, and maybe even inspires you to give it a try. My name is Anna and I'm a German mechanical engineer based in Sweden. On this channel I document my journey as a young engineer and everything I learn along the way. I work for a large battery manufacturing company here in Sweden, and I started in this industry and in this company over a year ago as a student, and when I graduated a few months ago I decided that I want to work in this field full-time. I pretty much landed in this industry by accident, and I think it's one of the best things that could have happened to me and to my career. I came up with 5 different reasons why I think the battery industry is such a great place to start your career, so let's talk about them. Point number 1 is batteries are a key element in stopping climate change. Hopefully we're all aware that we're currently in a climate crisis and that we need to work together to stop it, or at least mitigate it as much as possible. Batteries play an important role in this for 2 main reasons. The first reason is that transportation is one of the largest sources of emissions today. To eliminate these emissions, we need to get completely off oil and gas. And the best way in which we can currently do that is by electrifying all transport and using batteries instead of oil and gas to power the vehicles. The second reason is that renewable energy sources like windmills, solar panels, and hydropower plants are not as reliable and consistent as, for example, coal-fired power plants. And the best places to put renewable energy plants is not necessarily close to where the energy is consumed. For example, the desert is a great place to put solar panels, and the open sea is a great place to put windmills, but both are far away from where most of the energy is needed. Batteries can store the energy when and where it is produced, and supply the energy when and where it is needed. However, battery technology today is not at all advanced enough to solve all our energy problems, and we need large efforts in research, development and production, as well as lots of people to make this happen. Therefore, I find the battery industry to be a very meaningful and fulfilling place to work at. Point number 2. The battery industry is a young and fast-growing industry. Lithium-ion batteries are the type of batteries that is most commonly used today. And the first commercial lithium-ion battery was actually developed only 30 years ago, which makes it younger than the World Wide Web. And that is pretty young for an industry. On top of that, the spread of certain battery applications, such as electric vehicles, is only now picking up in pace, which means that lots of companies are constantly joining this industry and creating jobs. And in fact, the battery industry is one of the fastest growing industries today. This of course comes with benefits and drawbacks, which I both want to highlight here. Since the industry is so young and has only recently started to become so big, there aren't really many experienced professionals for companies to hire. And many of the new companies are not yet profitable, which means that they also cannot afford to hire too many experts. This means that companies in this industry are willing and also forced to hire young talents with no or little experience. This is of course great if you want to have lots of responsibility quickly and gain a lot of experience early on in your career. However, this is of course not so great if you want to be guided closely in your job and receive detailed instructions for your tasks. This can also mean that the workload and the pressure of the job are quite high, which then requires you to take good care of your own health and set boundaries so that you don't burn out and maintain a good work-life balance, whatever this means for you. For me, having a lot of responsibility and diverse tasks and the ability to manage my own projects is well worth having a high workload, but that's of course a decision everyone has to take for themselves. Point number 3, the battery industry has a high pace of innovation and technological change. Since modern battery technology is so young and not yet able to fulfill all the needs of society, there's of course a lot of research and development happening in this field. Both the battery cells themselves are constantly being improved, and also the production technology to make these batteries is constantly changing and evolving. This means that you will be at the forefront of research and work with technologies that are not yet on the market. And you will likely also develop new processes and technologies. And most importantly for me, this means that I'm practically never bored at my job, which is another thing that I was actually worried about before I started working. So if you enjoy research, but you prefer working in the industrial sector over academia, then the battery industry can be a great choice. Point number 4. Battery production combines many different disciplines and professions. Like I said in the beginning, the battery industry is not just for engineers, although they of course do play an important role. And since there are so many different disciplines and professions involved, you get to work in very cross-functional teams and learn about many different disciplines, which makes the work that much more exciting to me. So let's talk about some of the jobs that you can find in the battery industry. First, let's start with research and development. So these are the people that develop and test the batteries and also the whole battery systems. And the professions involved here are mainly chemical engineers, chemists, and electrical engineers. But of course, lots of other professions as well. Then the next big field is process engineering. So these are the people that figure out how to make the batteries that the cell designers designed, and they select or design the process equipment, which is everything that directly contributes to building the cell. And the professions involved here are mainly process engineers, but also mechanical engineers, depending on the specific equipment, because the different process steps of battery production are very different. Some have more to do with chemistry and some more with mechanics. And then of course, for every production equipment, you also need controls engineers, electrical engineers, and software engineers that can do the electrical design, the software programming of the machines. So now we have the design of the battery cells and of the process equipment that makes these cells. And so the next big field is production engineering, which makes sure that the materials actually go to these different production steps to make the cells. And so this means designing the flow of materials between the process steps and optimizing for efficiency, low cost, quality, and other factors. And the professions involved here are mainly production engineers, industrial engineers, also some mechanical engineers, and then of course civil engineers and construction staff to actually build a factory around it. Okay, now that the factory is standing, another important group is technicians and operators. So these are the people that actually make sure the equipment is operated in a specific way, turning on the machines, making sure that all the parameters are in the way that they should, that the data is being recorded, and all the process materials that are needed are delivered to the machines. And then along with that, you have maintenance engineers that will do regular checkups of the machines or repair things if they're broken. And then of course a big department that every single production facility needs is logistics, which takes care of the transport and storing of all incoming and outgoing materials. And of course every battery production company also has all of the positions that every other company has, like management, human resources, finance, legal, marketing and sales, purchasing, and business development. And of course, this is just a small selection of all the roles you find in a battery production company, but we don't want to be sitting here for hours. To sum up the types of jobs we have normal corporate jobs and normal production jobs, and then we also have this whole research side, both regarding the products of the battery cells and also the production technology. And this combination of roles is what makes it so interesting to me. Point number 5. You can quickly build a strong professional profile as a battery expert. As I mentioned before, the battery industry has a lack of experienced professionals and is continuing to grow at a high pace, so this problem will only become larger in the future. You can benefit from this lack of experts because it is easier to gain a competitive edge with just a little bit of experience, training, or even just by having a high interest in the field. It can also generally be good for your career to choose a niche where you become somewhat of an expert. Of course, not too extremely. You still want to be able to work at many different places. It's all about finding a good balance between being a generalist and an expert. I think that the battery industry offers a good balance in this regard, because you can really stand out as a battery expert, but almost all of the skills and experiences in this field can be transferred to other companies and even other industries. So this is all I have for today. These were the reasons why I think the battery industry is such a great place to start your career. I hope this was interesting to you and gave you some new ideas and inspirations for your own career. In my next video, I plan to talk about how exactly you can get into the battery industry. So make sure you're subscribed if you don't want to miss that. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in my next video. Okay, stop.